Okay, 13.30. प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तारं स पश्यति. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So this is very, very difficult to understand. Because without the soul, the body cannot do anything. But when the soul is there, soul literally is almost like giving energy to the body, and the body is doing its activities based on modes of nature. Except when a person uses his free will and says, I want to serve Krishna. Or so basically the use of free will is the freedom which is being used, and that can potentially be it can be against our nature, in the sense we might be in Rajoguna, but we could use the free will to change our behavior to move to Sattva-guna. Okay, but pretty much the activities are all being still done by the body. Just that whether I want to move from Rajoguna to Sattva-guna is a kind of a free will decision of free will, and that is the only thing that comes from the soul, from the self, is that desire. But everything is carried out by the body. This body is made by material nature under the direction of the super soul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing, as in the jiva's doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. This self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. So it all depends on previous past desires. We might have put some effort in trying to fulfill those desires. We may not have, depends. But this body is given to so that we can try to fulfill those desires. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. Prabhupada is saying enjoy is also difficult circumstance. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer. But this is very difficult because this is transcendental vision. Actually, that is why Krishna says, if whatever happens in this life, if we are clear saying that we are not the doers, then we don't get entangled. But it is very difficult to cut ourselves off like that, especially by gnana, just by knowledge. Only when we engage in devotional service, we understand, okay, I am not this body. Because soul gets happiness when we engage in activities of bhakti. And that happiness is not coming from the material platform. So somewhat we can understand saying that, okay, this is not me, and this makes me feel much nicer than trying to extract happiness out of material activities. So only in that platform we can understand that, okay, I'm not this body, I'm soul. But when we are not engaged in activities of bhakti, and when we are generally trying to go through normal human life, most of the times we are stuck without making this distinction between body and self, and we actually don't think of ourselves as a self at all, as the Atma. We mostly think about ourselves as mind, body, and try to keep fulfilling. Like, for example, if we feel hunger, then we literally feel that, okay, I am hungry. Actually, I am not hungry. The body is hungry. but we don't make that distinction. So it's very difficult to see that actually self is not doing anything, because we don't come to the platform of the self at all. We are always in the platform of body, and body is everything for us. We relate ourselves with the body. We look at ourselves in the mirror, we think, okay, this is me. So we have to come to the platform of us realizing or thinking that I am not this body, and then understanding, saying that, okay, actually I'm not the body and I'm not doing anything. I'm simply here. And everything is just being carried out. And because everything is just being carried out, why should I be responsible for that? Because I am the Atma. So this, when we come to this platform, we become somewhat indifferent to material happenings. A very high stage, Brahmabhuta. It takes time, but this is very difficult to realize, and this is very important. Eventually, we have to come to this platform. Any questions? I mean, this is very, I know, I mean, it's difficult to explain also, and I don't know how easy is it to understand, but if anybody has any questions on this specifically. Oh, by the way, I forgot, Ruchira Mataji, sorry, forgot to put the reminder.
No problem. No. I just remembered.
See, after seeing somebody should remember to post. Okay. Try to remember. Okay, any questions? Are people clear about this?
Bro, I have a question. So it is written that self is outside of the bodily activities and it is not doing anything, right? So, but Prabhupada also writes that soul is always active. So like it is
soul
always
is active, soul is desiring, but whatever is happening here is mostly by the body, because soul is active, but in this case, because the spiritual senses of the spiritual body are all covered by material senses and material consciousness, so we are still active, right? But we are active on the material platform, but we are not doing anything. We are the cause for the action. Hetu, we are the reason, but we are not the doers.
So even desires is basically an action of the soul.
Absolutely. As in desires, as in not material desires, not like I want to eat this, I want to eat that. That is all on the material platform. But suppose whether I want to serve Krishna or I don't want to, that is coming from the soul. That desire is coming from the soul, because that was the one which brought us here, where there is no material body then. So the Jiva did not want to serve Krishna. So that desire, the root desire, is coming from there. Right? And happiness experienced by transcendental activities is experienced by the soul. Right? But otherwise, apart from that, everything else is happening on the body, on the body platform.
So basically, if our desires are towards the Lord and Krishna karma, so that is devotional service, and that becomes bhakti. But when the desire is on the material platform, then it falls under the category of papa or punya. So actually, we get fruits depending on our desire. Actually, if we see, right, at a soul
Not
level.
on the desire, on the actions that we do in trying to pursue or achieve a desire.
But
In Kali Yuga, just by thinking, we get thinking good things, we get piety. By doing bad things, we get sin. And so for good things, you don't even have to do it. Actually, you have to just think. Like, okay, I've just donated, 10 lakh rupees to the temple. Now you just think like that, it is piety. You don't have to do it actually. And if somebody is thinking, okay, I want to beat this guy, now just thinking, I want to beat this guy, nothing is going to happen. No karma phala will be accrued. You have to do it.
Yeah. So how to understand this part, that one is forced to do because of this bodily constitution? So
like, so for example, now if suppose that somebody by their nature, they like getting intoxicated. So they just naturally they think, okay, abhi time hai, kya karna hai? Okay, chalo, peete hai. This is nature. Now they have not using their free will at all to think. They're just saying, okay, I want to enjoy and I have time. What would I engage in? Okay, let me drink, right? Or let me shop. Let me eat outside. This is natural. This is being driven by the body. There's nothing to do with us. Like soul is simply just dormant, right? Material nature is saying, okay, you like to eat. You've been wanting to eat all your life, previous lives, etc. Chalo, abhi time hai. Let's go and eat. So there is nothing that the soul is doing in this case.
Okay.
So
So
most of the time, most of the cases, actually, soul is not doing anything because we don't even know that we don't even want to exercise the free will of the soul. Most of the times, most of the ordinary, normal people, they're just stuck by. I mean, they're just driven by the material modes. So whatever even thoughts come to their mind saying that, okay, I want to even the options that come, okay, should I drink or should I go to the movie, something like this, right? Like, so it's just options that the mind comes up with, speculations, but which is purely driven by the material modes, because material modes drive material activities.
So basically, whatever has become our pravritti, that we cannot stop, because that we are forced to act because of our pravritti, our samskara. But then there are some actions which we have to trigger an action for desiring. So for example, if a person who is too absorbed into material things, he has to desire bhakti, and then he has to do action also in order
But
to.
he will not be able to desire himself. That is why, devotees are required, because the material nature is so strong that person will not even come to the platform of thinking that I have to be any different.
Yeah.
Right? Or that this is not me, or I have some existence which apparently is different from what I've been living. I mean, these thoughts don't even come to normal people, right? It will come only to people who either somebody should have got the mercy of a devotee in this life, or in previous life they've done some bhakti activities and they got them sukruti. And because of that sukruti, suddenly, some mercy comes in and then they can think in that way. Otherwise, pretty much it's just animalistic. So, okay, let me explain this way, right? Like a dog has to bark. The dog has no question of thinking like whether can I move, can I like croak, can I do some other sound? No, it's just going to bark. So human beings are also like that, right? Who are people who are on the material platform, they just want to do this because that is what they wanted to do in that has been their desire, and they got a body which suits that, and they just keep doing it again and again and again till they become frustrated. So pretty much this is animalistic bodily propensities, material desires.
Yeah.
Okay. यदा भूतपृथग्भावम् एकस्तम् अनुपश्यति तत एव च विस्तारम् ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. So that means that he is not looking on the bodily platform. He's just seeing living beings everywhere. He's seeing Brahman everywhere. So then he attains Brahman conception. Attains Brahman conception means that his consciousness, he is seeing Brahman everywhere. He is not seeing the body. When one sees that the various bodies of living entities arise due to different desires of the individual soul, see, this is what I was saying. Desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. So, amazing statement this is. Various bodies do not actually belong to the soul. Think about this. This body does not belong to me actually. It is just my body, as in body which has been given to me for use. It's just such a, like revealing statement that many even devotees, they think that I keep hearing this, oh, you have to take care of your body. Why you have to take care of body? Whatever reasons, right? So the only reason is that because it is Krishna's body or it is Guru's body. Guru Krishna has given us this body for service, so we have to take care of it. That's it. Not because this is my vehicle. We don't take care of this body because it is my vehicle and that vehicle has to be kept in good shape. We have to take care of this body because this body is actually Guru or Krishna's vehicle that has been given to me as a soul to use. So I'm just being responsible. So for example, if I take your car and you've given me your car and I have to take care of it, I can't just be reckless about it or careless about it. So that is all this body is. This body is not mine. This body has been given to me. Mine means I own it. I don't own it. So two things are being said here. One is that bodies arise because of different desires of the soul, and the body actually doesn't belong to the soul itself. In the material conception of life, we find someone a demigod, human being, dog, cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to material conception. After the destruction of material body, spirit soul is one. Spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc. One becomes purified. So this is upadhi. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Getting free from all upadhis, designations. One becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness. Only when we become pure from upadhi consciousness, bodily consciousness, we can actually develop Krishna consciousness. How he then sees things will be explained in the next word. So this is similar lines.
Is the soul desireless, or desire is also different from soul?
No. Desire is coming from the soul.
Okay.
Like I said, there are different. Mind also does thinking, feeling, willing, right? So we might get confused between there are desires of the mind and there are desires of the soul. Desires of the mind are limited to material. Desires of the soul can be both material and spiritual.
Okay.
Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmyam avyayah paramatmayam avyayah sharirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Those with a vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond modes of nature. Despite contact with the body, the soul neither does nothing nor is entangled. So this entangled, I couldn't understand for many years. What this nor is entangled means that he is free to get out. He is not stuck. The soul is in a body because by choice. The soul wants to enjoy material away from Krishna. So soul has been given an instrument to enjoy. But he's not entangled in the sense it's not like another 100 years you have to be here only. No. Or 100 lifetimes. No, you decide you want to get out of this body. You can do now. So you're not entangled. Soul is not entangled in a way like imprisoned, can't do anything, no freedom. Aisa nahi. So this is very important that we have this strength, free will, and the strength or the power to get out as a soul. The living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually living entity is eternal, is not born in spite of his being situated in a material body. He is transcendental and eternal. Now see, just think about this. No, I'm so fascinated by this that we'd never come to this platform. I keep doing this exercise whenever my body is troubling me. I look at myself and say, okay, I am actually there in the region of the heart. I'm not this body. So I look at, visualize the soul in the region of the heart and say, this is me. Because it's so difficult to come to this platform of disconnecting from the body. Very, very difficult. Because he cannot be destroyed by nature. So he cannot be destroyed. He's eternal. He's transcendental, not material. And by nature is full of bliss. That means that if we are not full of bliss, that means that we are material. Oh, this is beautiful. No, very good realization. If you're not blissful, that means that we are on the material platform. He does not engage himself in any material activities. In himself, meaning he is not like the soul is not eating. The soul engages the body to eat because the body requires food. So activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. So do not entangle him in the sense do not entangle the soul, but the soul wants to be, likes to do these kind of activities. So the body does it, and then, but the soul becomes responsible for it, but is not entangled by it. In one way entangled because he's forced to get another body, but he can free himself also. He's not locked up in a way that he cannot get out. So this here, na lipyate. So the word is lipyate. Lipyate means actually not padma patra ivambasa. Lipyate means stuck. Like you're not stuck to the body, or you're not attached to the body. We can get out if you wish.
Bro, at any point of time, soul might have multiple desires, right?
Yeah.
So the body is decided based on which type of desires rotate the most, right? So basically,
no. So just correcting, because the soul's desire is very high level. Soul's desire, for example, is like, I want to enjoy independent of Krishna, like that, right? And then it will just be now after that trigger, everything is now then material mind, material false ego, material intelligence, all of them will take over. And they generate all these vasanas, these desires, material desires, some, sense objects, sense organs interact with sense objects, mind does thinking, feeling, willing. All of this now is happening in the material body. The soul was just a trigger saying, I want to come to this material world. So he's so, what should you say? In that way, not the doer, right? He just, it's like, how can you think about it? Like you're going from one place to another. It's a one-way street, for example, or every road you take is a one-way. Meaning if you take one wrong turn, then you have to just keep going on that road. So like that, the soul took a wrong turn towards material desires and material happiness, and that's it. Now he has to just keep going. Now he keeps getting body after body after body. Now he has to figure out some way that, oh, okay, this is not the road. I have to take the opposite road. That trigger has to come. Now that trigger doesn't come, like I said, by ourselves. It comes by the mercy of a devotee. And when that trigger comes, that is the biggest use of free will. When we say I have to change the route itself, I'm going in a wrong direction, then that U-turn business will start. So soul will only desire at that level. If it is spiritual, if the desire is spiritual, then what happens is, because the soul has been given this body to use, body is the instrument. So to the extent, as the more and more the soul starts desiring spiritual things, the material senses start getting spiritualized. Because otherwise, how will the soul get into action on the material, on the spiritual platform? Because the soul doesn't have, the soul's vehicle is the body. So just think about this: without this body, soul is like a ghost, like energy. He can't do anything. So, but he still needs to use the body to do spiritual activities. So then the spiritual senses, material senses start getting spiritualized. And then it becomes the proper instrument for the soul to engage in bhakti, to experience spiritual happiness. Is it clear? I mean, it's a bit
Yeah.
complex.
So basically, initially, even if one, let's say 1,000 desires of sense gratification is there, and luckily by association, one desire to go to Lord comes, then it is like you are still on that path, but due to momentum, you might see that there is a path of spiritual, but then due to momentum, you are still not able to take that, but you continue going in the wrong path. But slowly your senses and everything will start molding your path towards bhakti, and then automatically your same route on which you were traveling will lead you to bhakti. Is that the...
Not completely. So, okay, till first half, what you said is correct. Meaning, we are on this, fast-moving path. There is one-way street of sense gratification. Then, by some divine intervention, some mercy, somehow we figure that I have to. This is the wrong route. I need to change the route. But कहीं वो turning नहीं आ रहा है अभी. Turning के लिए ढूंढना पड़ेगा.
Yeah.
So then some devotees will come and say, no, see, there is a right turn next. Right now, the thing is when they say that there is a right turn next, you take it. Now, at that point of time, whether we will use our free will to take that right turn or not is the question.
Mm-hmm.
If we take it, then we are now starting to traverse on the correct path. But even on traversing on the correct path, because of that material, propensities, etc., we are still, by force of habit, still engaged in material activities. But slowly and steadily, we are seeing everybody on that path is moving in the direction of Krishna consciousness. So we are on the path, and these material propensities will slow down as we move along, because the material senses become spiritualized. But that turn, taking that next right turn, is the key. That is the big free will use of the soul to say nothing doing. Okay, enough of all this nonsense. That will happen only when we get association of strong devotees, pure devotees.
Yeah. Clear.
Okay. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyat akasham nopalipyate sarvatravastito dehe tathatma nopalipyate. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in the body. Okay, the air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there, still it does not mix with anything. So this is very, very important to understand. The air does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in bodies, is aloof from them due to its subtle nature. So we are actually aloof from the body. Actually, we are aloof, but we want that association. We want to associate. We want to be associated with the body. Though actually, technically, we are aloof. Therefore, it is impossible to see with material eyes how living entity is in contact with the body. So look at this. The living entity is aloof. So then how can you see that the living entity is in contact with this body? The living entity is not in contact with this body. The living entity is just in the vicinity of the heart of this body. That's all. As in, it's so lightly connected. I mean, it's so difficult to even explain this. So he is out of it after the destruction of the body, right? Like, so, I mean, the soul is just present in the region of the heart. It doesn't have any contact with the body. It has only contact with the airs in the body, with the prana. That's it. There are 5 airs, and in that air, the soul is floating. That is all the contact it has with this body. but still we are so attached. So little connection, yet so attached. So that is why this is inconceivable, because this is all being done by the Maya, by illusory energy. So illusory energy makes us like act in a crazy way, literally, right? Without any attachment, we become so attached. Without any, we are not in contact also with this body, but we'll still so attached to this body. So this is irrational, totally irrational. So we should, I mean, these verses actually help us understand how we are so disconnected, how we should be so disconnected with the body. But unfortunately, we are so connected, so attached, because that is our desire. This is where the whole crux is. You know, in the 12th chapter, when you're reading qualities of the devotee, one of the qualities of a devotee is he does not care. He lives without cares. Now, what does that mean? Something is happening in life, upper, niche, you know, getting beaten, getting happiness. He's just without cares. He's not bothering about it. Okay, some happiness came, okay, fine. Some distress came, okay, fine. He's just being without cares because he knows that this is all happening to the body. I'm nothing. I'm just simply residing in this body. This is my vehicle. I better use it, put it to right use. Otherwise, I'm simply like doing something uselessly. So devotees can understand this, can think in this way. Others can't. I mean, and that is also very progressive devotees. For most of us, we are just stuck. We don't even, like, many a times, at least, I mean, I've seen most of the times, don't even think that I'm not this body. Just naturally. So suppose, say, we get angry at some things, right? We get upset at some things. Now, all these are scenarios where we are not even thinking that I have nothing to do with this. We so naturally think, okay, I don't like this behavior of this person, so I'm getting irritated. We're pure material platform, pure mental, pure modes of nature. So the day when those reactions happen within and we say, it's okay, I have nothing to do with this, I don't want to get entangled in this further, then we are making progress. No? So like Jada Bharat, Rahugana, he abuses Jada Bharat. What is this? You're acting like a some, you know, he says like just like an animal. Actually, in one of the verses, then you know, narration, Shukadev Goswami says that he actually he was momentarily not happy with what the king said, but then he didn't give attention to it, which means that that would have been a material reaction. But the soul, at the level of the soul, because of the spiritual strength, he ignored it. So we have to come to that platform. Okay, two more verses there. I want to just finish. Yatha prakashayati eka kritsnam lokam imam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates the universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. The various theories regarding consciousness, Bhagavad Gita example of sun and sunshine is given. Sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe. So a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Now the problem is this consciousness becomes polluted and it becomes material consciousness. This consciousness is the proof of the present soul. Sunlight is the proof of presence of sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness. As soon as the soul has passed away, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by an intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of combination of matter. It is a symptom of a living entity. Consciousness, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the super soul is super consciousness, supreme consciousness. This is the difference between supreme consciousness. Okay, this is clear, right? I mean, basically, presence of soul is consciousness, but because we are in touch with the material nature, Thus consciousness becomes polluted, and it becomes polluted consciousness. Now we are operating then on polluted consciousness. The whole process of bhakti is to purify this polluted consciousness and bring it back to pure consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness. When we will then leave this material, go back to material world, and then we go back to Krishna. Kshetra kshetragnayorevam mantaram gnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the body of knower of body, and can also understand the process of liberation, attain to the supreme goal. So one who can see with the eyes of knowledge, which means that if you've got this gnana chakshu, we can see, we can differentiate, okay, this is body, this is soul, this is the process of liberation. He can attain the supreme goal. He can, which means that possibility is there. And it totally depends on our sadhana, our desire, our willingness, etc., etc. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between body, owner of the body, and super soul. One should recognize process of liberation. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association and to hear of God, and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for spiritual realization. Because first of all, we have to know that there is something called matter, the spirit. Then we can try to realize that spirit. Spiritual master teaches students to get free from material concept of life by various instructions. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that the body is matter. It can be analyzed with 24 elements. Body is gross manifestation, subtle manifestations, mind and psychological effects. Symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul. See, the symptoms of this life are the interactions of these features. So we should not confuse this with the activities of the soul. Over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also super soul. Soul and super soul are two, not one. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible to transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and realization. More contemplation means that we have to think about these things. Here, then keep thinking about these things, and realization means practical application. We're not armchair philosophers, meaning simply keep talking, but don't apply anything in life. We are not this. And one should have complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada has so clearly explained this that we are fortunate. Otherwise, we can't understand this. This is hardcore gnana, Vedanta Sutra type. Very difficult to understand. So because Prabhupada is so, and yeah, many times we read the purpose of this chapter. I mean, my experience, even till this reading, many times, in this reading, I get realizations which I have not got till now. That is the beauty of, attempting to do this service. We get mercy at the right time. And that is why I keep encouraging everybody, saying that please try to preach. When you want mercy, then try to preach. You'll get mercy. So purport has everything, just that we find it many times difficult to understand the context of the purport, or why Prabhupada is written something, or what does he mean by what he has written. So for that we require mercy, and when we are trying to sincerely do our service, then we'll get mercy, then we'll be able to understand these things. And so please try to preach. Okay, so with this we finish this 13th chapter. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in earlier discussion, actually, like some of the activities, actually, like it is not connected with soul. So in that case, mechanical chanting is connected, or it's activity of soul, or
yeah, mechanical. See, chanting as a process itself is spiritual, right? But to the extent we do inattentive chanting, etc., I mean, they are still not considered material activities. They are still spiritual activities, but they are considered. That is why we say like aparada, nama aparada. It's not that it is a material. It suddenly becomes a material activity. It's not a material activity. It still continues to be an activity of the soul, just that it is contaminated, and because of which we get reactions which we call aparada, or we classify it as aparada. But yeah, it remains a spiritual activity.
Thank you.
See, all activities of bhakti, they are spiritual. All mundane activities also become spiritual when they are linked to Krishna. So Krishna is so powerful. So, for example, somebody is discussing some politics. Now, if that politics is concerning Krishna, then it becomes spiritual. Even though by nature politics as a subject is material, because politics is related to Krishna. For example, you discuss politics in Mahabharata, then that is transcendental because it's connected to Krishna. So anything which gets connected to Krishna, pure or impure, becomes transcendental. Then it just depends on whether we are doing it in the right platform or contaminated. Based on that, we get it will be aparada or whatever. Okay. Okay. Anybody has any other questions? Okay, I hope everybody is able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, because this is a very heavy technical topic. Okay, then we close for today. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah samaveta gaura bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.